from about the middle of my 7th grade year through 8th grade and most of my freshman year, one of my friend groups was because I had a few different friend groups and they didn't always overlap, but one of my friend groups was this group of black young men who would come to my place after school to play basketball with me on this 8-foot hoop my dad and I had built. This is not my neighborhood, this is not my hoop, this is just, it's a prop, I'm using it to remember. And it was 8 feet because I'm 5'6", and I wanted to dunk.
Shut up, I'm stressed out, plus I'm ready to flip into something that you probably think I don't have to do. They say don't worry, but
And it was a ton of fun because it was a good enough size group of people that we could always have a games. And I felt like they were comfortable. I believed they were comfortable being around me. And for the most part, to some degree at least, they were comfortable. They kept coming. But they weren't entirely comfortable, which is the thing I found out years later. It was not a conversation we were having. I wasn't aware of a lot of what was going on. I wasn't aware that they were somewhat uncomfortable being at this white guy's house with his white parents in this white neighborhood, that there was like a little bit of an emotional disconnect. I was also unaware that my parents were getting phone calls occasionally or having conversations with our neighbors, some of our neighbors, not all of them, but some of our neighbors were not altogether that comfortable with a group of young black men hanging around our neighborhood, oftentimes unsupervised because my mom and my dad wouldn't always be around or outside. See, I believed at the time that relationship is like this. It's just me and you. And whatever happens between me and you is what happens between me and you. I wasn't considering and taking into account that I'm not an individual just by myself in a silo. I also belong to my history, to my circumstances, to my cultural history. I lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. That's part of who I was. So I've invited my friend Cara Meredith, who's written this incredible book that digs into not just the interpersonal nature of race and relationship, but the cultural nature of race and relationship, the contextual nature of race and relationship, in order to guide us into a conversation that might, I guess, inform maybe at least our conversations, if not our hearts, about what it looks like for us to be, yes, individuals as people who want to have healthy, full, flourishing relationships with people who have different races, but maybe need to have a different grasp on what it means to belong to our own context. What does whiteness actually mean for me? What does blackness mean for my black neighbor? And I believe, honestly, unless we come to grips with some of those definitions, with some of the differences between those experiences, then those relationships will continue to be not just complicated, but less than flourishing and maybe even life-sucking. So join us. The link is below this video. If you're anywhere in the East Bay, you are welcome to come in and join this conversation. It's bound to be not just vital, but I would say important and probably for you.